Hello, let's talk about 10 new rosters that are coming this RLCS season. And for the first edition of this, I'm calling it the Optimist edition, meaning we are going to speak positively about all 10 of them. And yes, that does mean there is a hater edition coming out after this episode, so please stay tuned for that. Number 1, Falcons, which is going to be Drale, Kalirs, and Rawas. Now, just as a reminder, Drale got added to the Falcons, which meant that the Falcons let TRK go. TRK obviously goes over to Twisted Minds. So, if you're an optimist, how do you look at this trade? Well, you still got the Twins, arguably both top 5 to 10 players in the world, depending on how you think about each one of them. And you're adding arguably the number 1 player in the world as far as peak goes right now. So therefore, you're going to make magic. You basically just, that's an upgrade if you're being an optimist. And Drale, he's going to peak, and the Twins are going to get even better playing with him, and they're going to just dominate this season. So that's the most optimistic way to look at this. Shopify Rebellion. Let's go over to NA. First Killer, Kofor, and LJ. Now, basically, this is the Ultimates team, except they have Kofor now instead of Chronic, right? So what's something we should be excited about for this roster? Well, I'm saying Kofor as the unlocker, meaning he enables plays, he creates opportunities, he unlocks his teammates to go and do even better things than before. So now it's time to see FK and LJ on top of North America, because Kofor is going to help them get there. He's got the right gameplay style, and that is going to really open up the creative offense of FK and LJ. So if you're a fan of any of these players, you are excited about this season because of this roster. GK. Apparently Jack, Joyo, and Seiko. Now here's a quote. "Beware of an old man in a profession where men usually die young." Right? We've got 3 really experienced players, and they all had, 2 out of 3 of them had a good season last year. Seiko didn't have too good of a season. He was on the Mates team, and they weren't really able to figure things out too early in the year. They did later on in the year, but I'm a big fan of this roster. I think apparently Jack had a great year. He was clearly the strong in-game leader for that Dignitas roster with Stizzy and Jorius, and I think apparently Jack really helped these guys reach a new floor of performance, because those players had previously had issues with peaking and then, self-destructing. Whereas apparently Jack is very steady, can win a major, but also is just going to give you a good floor almost every time. Joyo also, I think, kind of, maybe his peak wasn't quite as high as we've seen it before, but his mechanics are still there. His offensive creativity is still there. So I think it's really just more like his floor is coming up, and he's just becoming more consistent as a player. Seiko, one of the most consistent players in RLCS, in my opinion. Even though last season didn't go so great for him, I'm a big fan of Seiko. He was one of my favorite players when I first started watching RLCS a couple years ago. Twisted Minds. Monkey Moon, Nobu, and TRK. Now, this is a team that anyone that likes RLCS should be excited about, right? So this is my take on it. The Nobu show has just begun. He won the 1v1 at Worlds against Moxie, which is arguably the best 1v1 player in the world. And he had a really good breakout season. And now all of a sudden, they've given him better teammates. Keep in mind, he had Rise and Atomic with a K, right? So you got Monkey Moon now and TRK. So this team is really in contention for MENA number 1 and really has a good look at winning some of these lands if they're able to find good chemistry on the field here. So that's my take on this. I think Nobu showed that he could hard carry, and now he's got even better teammates. So he'll instead of being over targeted because other teams look at him as the X factor, now TRK is going to be in there just doing what TRK can do, basically, and Monkey Moon as well, bringing a lot of experience to this roster. I think this team has a seriously good look at winning some lands this year. Furia. Lost, Swift, and Yan. So after a pretty disappointing season from Furia, what can we say about, being optimistic or looking forward to this? Well, I'm voting them the hungriest team this season. They didn't do that well, and they've done better before, so they know they can do it. And they replaced Drafinho, which I'm calling a question mark in this, with an up-and-coming star in their region, which is Swift, obviously, right? So I think this is a very offensive, exciting team to watch. I think there's a reason to be excited about it. That roster clearly needed to shake some things up, and they like where Lost is headed. They like how Yan is, so they just swapped out Drafinho. Looks like Drafinho is going to be on the Team Secret team with KV1 and Mata right now. But if you're a Furia fan, you're like, okay, nice. We swapped out something that wasn't quite working. We're going to run it back with a different, new and up-and-coming player. This is our year. Vitality, Exotic, Stizzy, and Zen. This one is kind of an interesting one, right? So for me, the way I looked at it was, this is Zen unlocking the have fun meta, right? These guys seem to like each other. They seem to be friends from what I've seen of their interactions. Like, obviously calming in English, which is actually neither of their native languages, right? Exotic, Stizzy, and Zen. English is all a second language, or potentially even a third language for some of these guys. So yeah, like there's going to be a little bit of communication difficulties that they got to get over, but it seems like personality wise, they're having fun playing in these ranked games. There's some really funny videos of Stizzy and Zen playing twos together that you should look up on YouTube if you're looking for something kind of funny. So yeah, I'm saying new roster, new chemistry. These guys like each other. And teams that like each other, like NRG, for example, where it seems like these guys would be friends even if they weren't on the same team, like, this has a good opportunity. Like, there's going to be good vibes on this team, and that's going to help keep things positive. And also, obviously, these players are also amazing. So, right, good vibes plus amazing players. It's going to be a great year for Vitality. It's going to be a good bounce back year for that org and for Zen. Mates Alpine, Archie, Nas, and Oski. I'm saying 3 players who all showed great improvement last season are now teaming together. All these guys are heading up and up right now based on how their season went last year, and now they're going to play together, and that should be really exciting. I've even seen some comments on my power ranking video, which I rank the top 20 teams going into the year. Last week I put that on this channel. A lot of people were saying this is going to be EU1. So there's a lot of excitement around this roster. People love Archie for sure. Anytime you mention him, I get comments about it. And yeah, these are 3, up and coming players in a lot of ways. Well, not even up and coming. It's just players that have been around a little bit, but it seems like they all hit a new level. Nas kind of came into some better performance in 3v3. Oski's always been kind of up there, but this last year was like a really strong year, and it seems like Nas and Oski like each other, and they found some chemistry. So adding Archie in, this is another team I think that's going to have pretty good vibes, and it was basically 3 players that played better than they did last season, and now they're all on the same team together. So this team is like heading all in the right direction together. Spacestation Gaming, Chronic, Diaz, and Reveal. Now, isn't this going to be a fun roster? Chronic can now stand as his own player outside of First Killer Shadow. So maybe this is a little bit of a controversial take, but it did feel like the Ultimates team of FK, LJ, and Chronic wasn't ever really quite able to find his place, and now this kind of clearly positions him as the leader of this team, and it's basically going to be the Chronic show with Diaz and Reveal. Now, obviously, Diaz and Reveal are both extremely talented players, but Chronic's, been there, done that a little bit more, and I think this roster, I'm very excited for them, and I'm really wishing them the best, and I think this is going to be a good year to showcase how good Chronic is. If you watch one of the latest Beast Mode YouTube videos, he talks about Shopify Rebellion replacing Chronic with Kofor. And in his opinion, Chronic is a better player, and he has a very high opinion of Chronic. So, I think, listen to the world champions and players that are very talented when they talk about other players. Like Beast Mode thinks very highly of Chronic, and they should he was saying they probably should have stuck and like kept working together, but obviously that's not what they did. They split up here and there. But when you hear like one of the best players in the world say like, no, this player is like really good, I think you got to take that with some weight versus someone like me. I like making RLCS YouTube videos, you know, take my opinion with a grain of salt. Ninjas in Pyjamas. Now, I put a question mark on this because I believe this is just a rumor as of right now, according to Shift and Achilles. But this is CRR, Jorius, and Oli. I think if you're an optimist, one way you can look at this roster is it's 3 underrated players based on what team they came from. And now they're going to combine and strike gold this season together. So all of these guys had, well, specifically Jorius and Oli had really good years last year. Jorius showed a lot more consistency, got peak results for him, I believe, in his career. CRR wasn't quite able to make it to Worlds on the Complexity roster, but Complexity did, you know, have some LAN showings. They weren't able to make it past Swiss stage. Oli obviously played on the GK roster with Joyo and Archie, was really up there. Apparently Jorius and Oli have tried to team together at least 1 or 2 seasons before this, so now they're finally on a team together, and we're going to get to see why they wanted to team together, right? And I think adding CRR, he has a good experience. He's a little bit sneaky. I would say he's a little bit sneaky underrated. Like, people think not too highly of him, but he's a really elite player and wasn't, you know, was kind of roughly on the bubble last year in NA. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to get over to EU and get some better ranked games. But yeah, I think if you're a Ninjas and Pyjamas fan or a fan of some of these players, then you're like, yeah, now people are going to put some respect on my favorite players and favorite teams. Gen.G, Justin, Magic Bear, and Rise. So here's my optimistic take, right? Justin and Rise are about to wake the bear, Magic Bear, out of hibernation, and the floor for this team just got raised, right? So this was a team that had Cheese. Cheese obviously moved or got released from Gen.G, and they replaced him with Rise. So this is going to be an interesting roster. You know, I think Rise is an extremely talented LAN player, and this is a team that didn't have the best showings on LAN, or at least didn't play up to what they thought they could do. So by adding in Rise, you know, Justin's a pretty darn talented LAN player. Rise is very talented, maybe the most talented LAN player as far as career is concerned. And Magic Bear, you know, still kind of up and coming, but I think he's starting to kind of hit the stride of his career. So this will hopefully unlock him to a new level. And I think we're going to be cheering for this roster a lot. I expect them to do well. So with all of those 10 new rosters that we covered, obviously there's more new rosters, couldn't cover them all. What roster are you most excited about watching this season? Especially if I didn't even mention the team that you're looking forward to watching. Now, like I said before, this was the Optimist edition. This is where we put on our positivity cap, and we went out there and decided to be positive and be optimistic and be excited. And you know what that means? Well, I made a complete redo of this video where it's the hater edition. And we're going to talk about why each roster that we just talked about is not going to do well next season. So stay tuned for that. Please subscribe if you'd like to see that video when it comes out next week. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please, let's keep this one positive. Tell me which rosters are you most excited about? What are you optimistic about? Thank you so much for watching. I hit 500 subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me. And just got to say thank you so much. It is really an honor and a privilege to receive that, you know, accomplishment. So thank you for all the support and for all the comments and the likes of the videos and all that. So have a wonderful day. Talk soon and stay tuned for that next video. Bye.